Alice was very tired of being bullied in school. She knew the teachers knew she was being bullied, but they didn't care. She told her dad, but he just said ignore them. She knew she couldn't ignore them. How could she? She used to cry herself to sleep every night, praying and wishing and hoping they would just leave her alone. One day she went for a walk in the woods to try to forget about everything that was happening. She got a fright when she happened to walk right into her bullies. They started mocking her and one of the girls hit Alice and she fell down and hit a rock. She had hit her elbow and there was blood on the rock. That weekend, Alice's dad bought her a pet rabbit to cheer her up. Alice was delighted to have a pet rabbit and called it White Rabbit. The next day she had realized the rabbit escaped. She ran out of the house and saw the rabbit outside her door, as if waiting for her. She said, "White Rabbit, don't run away like that, giving me a fright." The rabbit started running into the woods, and Alice found it hard to keep up. She had realized the rabbit stopped by the rock where her blood was on. Alice found it spooky. Why would the rabbit run to that rock? She picked up her rabbit and brought him home. That Monday it was like magic. Her bullies weren't bullying her, and they spoke to her like she was always their friend. After school, Alice invited them to see a cool tree in the woods that they could climb. When they got into the woods and reached the tree, before they could step another step closer, they all screamed as they fell down a hole. It was a giant rabbit hole. Alice looked down, smiling, and said, "What's down there gave me the power to ye stop bullying me. But what is down there also has the power to make sure you will never bully me or anyone else ever again." Thanks for watching The Assassin Rapper, and if you enjoy the content then make sure to subscribe and hit the bell to be notified of new content. Jessie and her friend Kayla were at home watching a horror movie when they started talking about the local legend, Slender Man. Jessie was saying, "Slender Man is real. He isn't just a made-up character." Kayla said, "Do you really expect me to believe you that a 10-foot tin man is real and you have seen him? Why didn't you take a photo of him with your phone then?" Jessie was getting annoyed and gave Kayla an angry look and said, "Okay, you don't believe me? Well, I can take you to the woods tomorrow to meet a friend of mine which will prove Slender Man is real." Kayla replied, "Okay, you're on." The next night Jessie and Kayla went out to the woods. They were walking down the woods when they saw a box with "First Clue" written on it. Jessie asked Kayla to see what was inside. Kayla said, "I suppose you think I'm afraid to open it." Then she opened it and retrieved a map where to go, looking for the next clue. As they walked about 10 minutes deep into the woods, they came across the next clue, which was another box. Kayla opened it again, and there was a map which apparently would lead them to the proof of Slender Man. As they walked towards where the map led them, there was a very high tree with a box hanging from it, saying "Proof." Kaylee said to Jessie, "There's no way I'm climbing that tree." Jessie said, turn around and close your eyes for 5 seconds. Then you can turn back around again and open them. Kayla said, what are you playing at? Jessie said, losing her patience, do you want to see the proof of Slender Man or not? Kayla turned around and counted to 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. When she turned back, Jessie had the box next to her on the ground. Kayla asked her, how did you climb way up there so fast? And what about this friend of yours you promised you'd show me? Where is he or she? Show me the proof of Slender Man being real. You told me your friend would show me the proof of Slender Man being real. How long do I have to wait to see the proof? Let me answer your first question first, and the second after, Jessie said. First, I didn't climb the tree, and the answer to your second question is, my friend is over there, and he is the one who picked the box from the tree. Jessie pointed over towards the trees, and Kayla screamed when she saw the Slender Man. Thanks for watching the Assassin Rapper, and if you enjoy the content then make sure to subscribe and hit the bell to be notified of new content. Jack was a career criminal. He made a small fortune for himself, committing different crimes over the years, and he was very good at going undetected. He was never caught for any crime he committed. If he wrote a book about how he did it, it would be a bestseller with criminals. Jack lived in a mansion in the Hamptons and used to love to chill out by the swimming pool with a cocktail and enjoy the high life his crime allowed him. He loved to think of the saying, crime pays, and he added to it, especially when you're a smooth criminal like himself. He felt like going for a road trip one day, so decided to take a trip across the country. He felt like going on a journey with no destination, just drive and enjoy the scenery, so that's exactly what he did. He drove and drove, stopping at motels now and then, and there were times he drove from daytime all through the night. He snorted lots of cocaine to stay awake. He ended up in this small town, which only seemed to have a diner, bank, post office, and another handful of shops. He decided the bank was an easy target, so made up his mind he was going to rob it. When he was in the room in the motel, he saw a flyer that said, "Give blood to the blood bank. Call 1-800 Bank now." He thought back to when he was younger, before his life of crime. One of the ways he made money was give blood, and he would get payment for his blood. He'd realised it was a very good thing to do, helping people. When he finally entered the bank wearing a mask, he held the gun to the girl behind the counter and shouted, "Hold up your hands and give me the money." The girl got a fright and held up her hands in panic. After a few minutes, the girl passed over loads of money in bags, and Jack left the bank and jumped in his car. He decided to not bother go back to the diner. It wasn't worth the risk of getting caught, so he just drove out of town. But before he could even get halfway down the road, he saw a very strange sight. There were lots of pale women in black dresses in a line all across the road. He stopped the car. He got out and shouted, "What the hell is this? I'm trying to drive on the road." One of the women pointed towards him and said, "You must have seen the flyer, which said give blood to the blood bank. That is a sort of cryptic message to our coven. You see, we are witches, and we have a witch's coven, and that bank is where we fund our coven. and you have taken all our money. So it's not a case of you giving blood. It's a case of us spilling your blood." With that, all the women walked towards Jack, and with knives started cutting into him until his blood poured out of his lifeless body, which lay dead on the ground. Thanks for watching The Assassin Rapper, and if you want to stay up to date on new content, then please subscribe and be sure to hit the bell to be notified on new content. It was Thanksgiving in Kevin's household, and his cousin Sam and Dad Mark were visiting for Thanksgiving dinner. They were talking before the plates were ready to be put on the table and them start eating. Sam was talking about his dad and his keen interest in spiders. Sam said, "My dad has loads of different spiders, and did you know that each year when we are asleep, there are lots of different spiders crawl into our mouths during our sleep?" Kevin said, "Don't say something so stupid and which isn't true. We are going to be eating dinner soon. We don't want to hear you lie about spiders crawling into our mouth. That is disgusting, and of course it isn't true." Sam got angry and said to his dad, "Dad, tell him it's true. Tell him that spiders do crawl into people's mouths when they are asleep." His dad said, "Son, that isn't exactly the topic of conversation we want to be having at Thanksgiving dinner." That night, Kevin went to bed early, while Sam was sleeping in the spare room. Kevin wasn't in the mood to play video games with Sam, as he found him annoying. He quickly fell asleep, but suddenly he awoke from his sleep in the middle of the night. He panicked when he realized he couldn't hardly breathe. He noticed there was something tied around his face, and he struggled to get it off, but luckily it did fast. But when it did, he froze in horror when spiders crawled out of his mouth. Sam was looking in from the door because he couldn't miss the prank he pulled on him, but suddenly he felt kind of sick. Within minutes he dropped to the ground after being bitten by a poisonous spider while putting them in Kevin's mouth. Kevin suddenly felt sick also, and they both died from spider poisoning from spiders Sam had stolen from his dad's bedroom, not knowing that one of them was a poisonous spider. Thanks for watching The Assassin Rapper, and if you enjoy the content, then make sure to subscribe and hit the bell to be notified of new content. Matthew was out at a meeting for work, which his wife expected to have gone on for a few hours more, but the meeting ended a few hours early, which afforded Matthew to drive home a few hours earlier. Matthew knew that his wife Susan was a bit distant lately, and he expected she was cheating, but what he would see when he got home made him feel so angry he felt like going into the bedroom and killing his wife and lover. But he knew he had to wait for the right time. He felt his blood boil when he saw his wife in bed with another man. Matthew set up hidden cameras around his house and used to monitor them from his office at work. The cameras only went on when there was movement, to avoid him from having to trawl through tons of footage. One night he saw his wife and lover talking in the bedroom, and they were organising to drive out to a really beautiful spot he knew. When he heard the conversation, All of a sudden, the spot he knew brought a whole new beautiful meaning to him, because he knew exactly what he would do. The next night Susan was driving in her car with her lover. She smiled, saying to him, "This is such a beautiful spot. I used to come here with my husband. The view is so beautiful. It's just down the road." Jack, her lover, said, "If it's just down the road, why don't we just walk?" She smiled back and said, "Because I always use the car to get here, because you can have a lot of fun in the car, if you know what I mean." With that, Susan got an awful fright, as she realised she could not slow the car down. Herself and Jack screamed as the car went faster and faster towards the edge of the cliff. Matthew was driving behind, smiling to himself as he saw the car drive right off the cliff. He parked the car and smiled. Susan said to Jack, "Jump out of the car. Jump quick now." They both jumped before the car went off the cliff. Susan walked up behind her husband, who wanted to have killed her, and was smiling, thinking he did kill her. And she hit him with a rock, knocking him off the edge of the cliff to his death. Susan knew that she had to put on an act of the grieving wife. Poor Susan, her husband, drove off a cliff in an awful tragic accident and perished to his death. All the while Susan thought about this and the act of the grieving wife, she smiled, and then she hugged and kissed her lover. Thanks for watching The Assassin Rapper, and if you want to stay up to date on new content, then please subscribe and be sure to hit the bell to be notified on new content.